Let's go. We're going to go to our first clip now, and we're just going to talk over it as it goes along, and then we'll discuss it, and you can ask us any questions that you might have. I am going to ask the
Marvelous.
director, who also happens to be my wife, to play the first clip. There it is. Here we have got the back end of some elephants, which is quite fun, I suppose. And, well, what we're looking at here is a very thirsty group of elephants that are enjoying the water. A little one being very cute indeed. That is too sweet. Just to be clear, that the light shining on these animals is not in fact a light, it's infrared, so I suppose it is a light, but it's not something that they can see. I think this is quite interesting because, yet again, the kind of, one hesitates to use the term cretinous, but odd behavior is being perpetrated by what is definitely a male mammal.
You ever watched a toddler with a spoon trying to feed itself?
Yes.
Because that's kind of what it's reminding me of.
It's very similar. I don't know if you have the same experience, but I always find that with human beings, as well as, of course, look at this idiot. With human beings as well as other male mammals, it seems to be the males that behave in this fashion. The females seem to learn faster. They don't seem to behave in these outlandishly ridiculous ways, unless it's intentional. Whereas this guy is just being, to me, a typical male mammal. His mother's having to say, "Get up, come on, stop behaving like a goon." Is that your experience as well, or do you find that it's pretty
inexplicably of my godson.
Yeah. Yeah. I know I've got two nephews, and they are just like this male elephant. I have a friend with two daughters who don't behave anything like this little elephant. And as you say, biologically, this elephant is still learning to use his trunk. He should be just about there by now, I would have thought. But he's learning to use his trunk. He's trying to find his way in the world and basically learning how to be a male elephant, I guess.
Do you ever wonder when they're that age? Perhaps it was just me as a small child, but when I was little, there was an almost sort of constant narrative in my game that was going on, whatever I happened to be interested in at the time. Do you ever wonder what goes on in that little brain, not so little brain in the case of a baby elephant, exactly what it is he's thinking about, or if he's just
I absolutely do, yeah. And I think with an elephant like that, they do have such massive brains, and we know so little about what's actually going through them. They're the one mammal, I think it's the only mammal, if I'm not mistaken, that has a greater number of neurons in the brain than we do, although they're unable to do calculus as far as I'm aware.
As far as we're aware. They've also, I've just read a study recently about the number of nerves in their trunk. And we tend to think of our hands as extremely complex things. It takes us a long time to master the chord. And the scientists have just discovered, I think the elephant's trunk is probably the most sensitive animal body part that we know of so far. There's something like 400,000 neurons in each, what are they called? Oh, it's just gone totally out of my head. Anyway, it equates to 800,000 in total. Ganglion. Nerve ganglion. That's the word I was looking for.
Wow. All right. Okay. So extremely innervated, in case you missed that. That's a good word to use when you're next at a dinner party. You can say, "Well, I just learned that an elephant's trunk is very," and then pause for effect, "innervated." And everyone will be very impressed with you. Hello, Aunt Christine and Valentino. You say it would be great to have a veterinarian show with Jamie. Well, yes, I suppose it would. Whether her fellow students or professors would approve of her coming into a dissection hall armed with a live broadcast system I'm not sure. Maybe they would. they've all done Zoom over the last little while. Perhaps they wouldn't have a problem with it. And Jan Pars, you say, yay, James and Jamie together. Well, yes, in the virtual space. Jamie, I think you're in Pretoria, aren't you?
Not yet. I'm still in Johannesburg. I haven't managed to get
right.
back to Pretoria yet. I'm doing my journey in gradual stages.
Right, okay. Pretoria, by the way, is where the veterinary college is. Okay, I think let's move on to the next clip. That was very entertaining. I don't think it was particularly biologically significant, so let's move on to the next clip and see what we can see there. If you would be so kind, my dear. Thank you so much. There we have got a hyena. Jamie, I'm going to let you talk us through this one, being a hyena expert.
Okay, well, in that case, I shall have a go. That's a hyena's bottom. Oh, now it's a hyena's. There we go. That was, that I've always sort of considered hyenas to be one of the most intelligent animals out there. Well, I think that one chose a very opportune time to move out of the way. The elephant clearly thoroughly displeased with its presence, attempting to knock it on the head with a small branch. And of course, elephants can see in the dark. I'm not sure how well it was able to identify that was a hyena. I'm sure that it can smell it. And hyenas, even we can smell with our poorly developed sense of smell. And I think the elephant has rather taken offense. You can just see the hyena wandering off in the background there. It's interesting the reactions that elephants have to predators. They almost without fail will chase them away. He's still clutching the branch. I'm impressed. He is determined.
I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. I don't think I've ever seen an elephant
carry
something.
A branch and chase a hyena. No, I've never. I've had elephants throw me before, or attempt to. I have never seen one throw it at a predator. Is he still clutching? Oh no, he has now abandoned it.
Now he's going to remove the camera and throw that at the hyena.
Oh, he's going to try and kick a rock around.
Yes. What he's doing is he's moving the rocks away from the cat eye camera. So, I mean, that camera you can see is at eye level. And if he does that too much more, it's going to disappear. Now we've got the hyena back.
All that poor hyena wants to do is have a drink.
Yeah.
It's been marked now. It's just not. So this is now the third time round the dam.
Yeah.
We're back for a fourth effort. Okay, he's managed a couple of gulps, he or she.
And he's now taking out the stick.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Nor did I. We were discussing this last week, but it's quite something to have these candid cameras when there are no people around, and you can be sure that none of this behavior is being influenced by human presence. I mean, this is just hilarious.
What on earth do you suppose it's doing?
Now it's licking its foot, I think, or maybe biting a rock. I can't tell.
Absolutely.
Or just licking a rock.
He's just licking a rock.
Yeah.
A little bit of elephant foot mush on there.
Now, apparently this sighting went on for something like, the hyena's just running off there, for something like 45 minutes. Now, surely at some stage this becomes play behavior.
I was just thinking that exact thing. At what point are these two not having fun? Because either of them could quite easily have moved off.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like the hyena actually poses a threat to this elephant.
No, not in the slightest. Oh, oh, now it's crossed.
Throwing
It's still
another
throwing
stick at
stuff
it.
at it.
Oh, this is
Oh, this is
absolutely
wonderful.
wonderful. Yeah, there's, just so that everyone knows, this is one of many, many little pans like this that exist at Baluli Nature Reserve where this is taking place. And there is absolutely no reason in the world why this hyena couldn't find something else to drink. Also, why it has decided that it needs to now play with the stick that's been flung at it is anyone's guess.
This is fascinating.
Absolutely amazing. And no doubt they can smell each other, and that the hyena can smell the elephant on the tree, and that the elephant will now be able to smell the hyena on the tree.
Do you think?
Oh, and again.
No.
One does wonder what this young elephant bull would do if he actually got hold of the hyena. I don't think it would be pleasant for the hyena, but it still is interesting
No.
to think, would he actually just back off or would he follow through and do some real damage?
I
That was
don't know.
that was
I'm
absolutely
not certain.
amazing.
That was so cool. I've never seen
So
anything
I mean,
like that.
no, I've heard of elephants throwing sticks at cars before. It's never happened
Yeah.
to me. Has it happened to you?
It's happened to me. It's happened to me once or twice. One even hit me once. I mean, very
Really?
lightly. It was not like it was not a projectile. It sort of just brushed against my leg, but it has happened to me.
And was it accurate?
Most attempts have not been. That was the only one that
Okay.
was, and I think that was just by sheer chance more than anything else.
Yeah, because I
Although,
know
I
with
mean,
this particular.
looking at that clip, that elephant wasn't far off with it.
No, he wasn't, especially with the
Perhaps a bit of
first
a,
attempt.
yeah.
Kirsten, can we go
I mean,
back
you
to
would
the
have been
first
sprayed
attempt?
by dust
For sure.
and water. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's just go and have a look at the first throw, because this to me is amazing. That was fairly poor,
That was actually not fun. That was a, I mean,
but that was quite
okay,
impressive.
maybe, that was an impressive throw.
Yeah.
I'm not going to win him a place on the South African
No.
cricket team, although at the rate we're
No.
going, possibly.
No. I think that's absolutely amazing. So elephants will do this, as we say. They will throw things at things that are causing them displeasure. But again, as with the sighting before, what I think we have here is definitely a young bull elephant on his own, testing his strength against a predator. And I suspect quite strongly it's a male hyena as well, a young male who's decided that he's going to forego foraging for a meal and actually just entertain himself here. And I do wonder a lot how much entertainment male and female mammals need, and how much they seek out, and how different their seeking out of entertainment is. Because to me, there is a big difference with young males
Oh,
behaving like that.
there's
And
only a difference. Mm.
yeah, and perhaps females taking their entertainment from their social interactions, but with them being no less important, but just taken in a different way, perhaps.
And obviously, I mean, there's a
Sharon,
big difference between predators, sorry, James, between
no, no,
predators
you
and
carry on.
herbivores and the
Yeah.
entertainment that they gain from that. And it's much easier for us to identify with the play of carnivores because it's that
Mm.
practice hunting,
Yeah. I
or
think that we
wrestling.
are probably far too quick to just dismiss play behavior as, oh well, they're
I
learning
agree.
how to hunt and they're learning how to do this. Well, actually, they're probably just having fun, and yes, it probably does have a beneficial effect in the same way that for a kid playing soccer as a beneficial effect on his life, on his strength and neurology and maturity. It's absolutely fascinating. Jan, you want to know how old I think that elephant is? When somebody asks me a question like that, what I do is defer and then agree. So what I'm going to do is say to Jamie, well, Jamie, how old do you think that elephant was?
I wouldn't have put it older than his mid-teens, probably his early teens. I'm not sure, James, how you feel, if you agree or
Yeah, no,
disagree.
I agree. I agree completely. I I would have said between 12 and 15. That would have been my guess.
Yeah.
And I'm so pleased that you agree. Sharon, you say what happens in the dark stays in the dark. It does. And I mean, I do think these cameras are fantastic for that. Although I will say, I think that both the hyena and the elephant approach the camera because it does make a very slight whirring noise. It goes vzz slightly when it turns. And I do think that both of them, as part of the playing that they were doing, just came up to have a look and see what was going on there. Hello, James Richard. Such a fascinating sighting. It certainly was a wonderful, fascinating sighting. And again, quite difficult to see in the day or on a vehicle full of people. Great. That was marvelous. All right, my dear. Well, would you like to move on to the next clip? I'm talking to my wife, not to Jamie, by the way. Right. Now, here we have a collection of lions, and the one behind watching what is, I would describe as a fairly incompetent or experimental approach at some buffalo is the mother, and the two in front, I believe, are siblings. The male is called Greedy, and the female is called Astarte, Astarte. I'm not sure how to say that. And the mother is beautifully named. She has a gorgeous name, F70, which means female number 70. Now, there'll be an element of seriousness in this, and I think, were the buffalo to lie down and play dead, they'd certainly be eaten. But I don't think that this is a serious hunt. And it really does. I mean, surely that buffalo must feel something. Oh, there we go. Absolutely amazing. Now remember, this is pitch dark. So the lions probably see the buffalo relatively well, but not the other way around. The two youngsters now not taking any chances. And again, it's the young male who's initiating the behavior, and this time dragging his sister along while their mother watches, perhaps instructing quietly from the foreground there. I think that was fantastic.
Cheering them on.
Yeah. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, it's somebody actually just recently reminded me of a sighting that I had with a young female leopard who approached a hippo in exactly the same way that lion did and went and put her nose right up against his backside and had a really good sniff. Look, I think it's there's a much larger size gap in that instance than there was with those lions and the buffalo. As you said, there is an element of seriousness to it.
Yeah. Yes, I think I've seen the same with young male leopards and rhino, actually stalking them just for the sake of it. But I'm not really sure why it took the buffalo so long to click that there were two predators behind him. And like you say, I mean, if they'd been older lions and they had been serious and there'd been 3 or 4 of them, I think he would have been in some trouble.
Oh, if they'd had the rest of a larger pride with them,
Yeah.
it would have been. And Buffalo would have paid dearly for his lack of. Maybe this is going to sound very silly, but the vegetation is very thick at the moment and the grass is very long. And I wonder if it didn't sort of desensitize him to touch.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
There could have also been a bit of a wind blowing, and yeah, but it does look like the lion touches him there. Can we have another look at
It
that?
does.
Sounds like early morning. Just hear the Franklin starting up in the background. But I mean, here he definitely touches the buffalo. I mean, he's got his paw on its backside, and the sister, who was much more circumspect, thinks, "Oh, well, okay, it's quite easy then." So touch there again. Sister still being very careful when she's out, not going to muck around. But interestingly, here, she of course will be a major hunting force at some stage, one hopes. See how he disappears. And now she's actually kind of sussing the situation more carefully. She waits to see. I think that's quite interesting. And now he's
Is
decided, okay, well, maybe it's all right. No, he's much more keen to get out of there than she is once the threat seems to be more real. That's very
he seems to
interesting.
cover double the distance that she does every
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
Buffalo so much
yeah.
as whirls around.
Much more nervous. On Christine and Valentino, you're wondering if either of us have observed prey animals, e.g., impala, playing in ways similar to the predators. Yes, I think we both have. I've certainly seen impala lambs cavorting around. They're definitely playing. They're definitely using that playing to gain strength, to learn social etiquette. Certainly in the primates, I know that social etiquette is a huge part of their play behavior as youngsters, and learning where they are in the hierarchy and establishing themselves in the hierarchy. And I imagine that it happens in all animals, or certainly all mammals. I mean, I doubt it happens too much